being an Aspie mom. This is something that needs to be more talked about. It's a challenge for an Aspie woman to be a mother more so than a neurotypical woman because we have sensory issues and we have a hard time with flexibility. So you can imagine, especially the baby stage would be very stressful if they have colic, needing to feed at random times, diapers, all that stuff. It's very spontaneous and we have a hard time with spontaneity. At the same time, we are women and a lot of us want to have children. We love children. We love babies. We're in our hearts, we want to be moms. And despite the challenges that we may face, we still want to be moms. You know, um, Rudy Simone has a chapter in her book, Asper Girls, on having children. And I just love what she has to say about it. It's wicked. She says, we like being a mother and we don't like being a mother, and because it's hard. You know, um, I think she was on a train and she answered that to a woman the woman said, "You must love being a mother." And she said, "No, actually, I don't." And then after she said, "But she never asked me how much I love my daughter." So that's an interesting paradox that Rudy talked about there. And I felt very much the same way when she said that. It really, rang true for me. I have an autistic son, and there's pros and cons with that. My son is loud. He has outbursts and he's loud, and that's very painful. It feels like there's nails scraping down my back when he does that. Um, I try to tell him, like that, and he goes, "Sorry, mom," and things like that. But I know that he can't help it. He needs to go up to his room and get a calm body and stuff. At the same time, I have a connection with my son. I knew my son was autistic when he was a baby, and everybody thought I was crazy. I'm like, "He's autistic," and they're like, "He's a baby." I just knew he was. He's very colicky, very sensitive, and his eyes were always like this, to everything. I just felt that he was autistic, and he is. But I have this way of talking to him. It's like, "Oh yeah, well, we can go outside," and I'm very expressive and animated, and he really understands that. And I have that. Only mom can kind of talk to him like that. When he doesn't get something, I'll get down onto my knees and I'll talk to him and I'll say, "Well, but you know what? This is not a good idea because," and I talk to him and I use kind of like animated tones, animated facial expressions. When he's melting down, his dad, he is a good dad, but he really does have a hard time because my husband has a hard time with expressing language. So I kind of end up having to intervene and use my animated expressions on my son to get him to sort of calm down and understand what's going on around him when he's, frustrated it to the point that he's kind of losing it. So there's that. And then, with my younger son, I'm kind of childlike myself. I'm like a woman child. So we do, he wants to play make believe a lot and pretend and be like a chef and be a king and be a superhero. So does my older son, and I kind of get really down on their level. I'm really like childlike with them, and I kind of mirror the childlike. I remember what it was like to be a child. I very much remember. My heart is still there. So, I must be doing something right because my 5-year-old always says, "You're the bestest, 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 bestest mom." And he really does say it like that, honestly. And that really touches my heart because I feel guilty because sometimes like I internalize it, but I just want to like run away. It sounds awful, but I don't, and I never would. But sometimes it's like so much. It's hard to explain. Um, it is. There's some Aspie women that say, "Oh, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it." I have a couple Aspie friends that are like, "No, I couldn't do children. It would be too hard. It would be too hard on me." And I understand why they think like that. There are some Aspie moms that I know that ended up sharing custody with the other parent or only seeing their kids on weekends because they can't be like a full-time mom. I don't judge them for that because I do understand how hard it is. I choose to stay. That's what I choose. I love my kids and it's hard. They're two boys. It's intense. I have fibromyalgia. And I've just got to learn how to control my sensory issues more because, they're kids and, I love them and you know, one day I'd even like to try to have a daughter, but I don't know, like with my health and everything, a pregnancy might be kind of intense. But I would love to maybe, even if it was a boy, you know, kind of like the baby stage is so cute now that I'm a little bit more mature. Like back when I was 21 and had babies, I was like, oh my God, what do I do? You know, what the heck do I do with this? I even, you know, escaped into a part-time job and I pumped my milk and I got formula and all that because I just needed a sort of a break time. So I had like a part-time job at a clothing store, which was also stressful. So that was counterproductive, but I wouldn't work at a clothing store today. But yeah, it's we're going to talk about this more. I have a friend um, that is very focused on talking about Aspie mums, and I totally commend her for that because it's a subject that we need to talk about. And she's asked me to, you know, write some information, and I'm working on that. You know, it's hard to find words for something like what I go through inside and my being a mother. You know, I would put myself in front of a car for my child in an instant. I mean, I love them so much. So much. So, yeah. I mean, I may seem like I'm into my work or into myself or anything, you know. Asper girls can seem like that, but we're super loyal family members and super loyal friends and super loyal moms. So, that's the flip side of it. So, yeah, Aspie moms. Believe in yourself.